Welcome to Visible Magic's podcast called Web Visions. That's a mouthful, but we'll do it. I think this is episode 3. I'm learning. I am Shlomo. I do strategy for Visible Magic, and this is my buddy Vic. Vic, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Victor. I'm CTO at Visible Magic. We do a lot of cool things in Web3, AR, and a little bit of AI. This is what we're going to talk about today.
Totally. Yes, we just like every dev house in the space, every coding team, if they are worth their metal, is scripting some rule bases and some rule sets into various AI situations. We are all looking at trying to get our little things in the app market that'll do our happy thing. But we do those products for others. That's what we're here for. And speaking of others, we get on the road. We go to conferences. And Victor was just at WebSummit. They didn't send me this time. I can't believe you're not sending me to these exciting things, because nobody gets more excited at a conference than I do, because I love letting people just babble at me and sell me products. Tell me about the fun at WebSummit.
Okay, so we're planning for the next Web Summit, and we're definitely going to fix this problem for the 2024. And this Web Summit went extremely well comparing to the last year, personally, because we are showcasing our startup, Sizer ER. It allows to precisely measure and scan your feet and take all these accurate measurement. So we do that through the iPhone face ID camera, plus some augmented reality stuff provided by iOS, and we can get quite interesting results through that technology. So
wait, let's bring this back a little, because I don't think our listeners know about this product that we put out. So this is a mobile product, right? It's done on your mobile phone. It takes pictures of our feet, right? So you could get shoes dealt with. Is that what we're talking about?
Exactly. It's not a picture. It's like a complete 3D scan, which you get of your feet.
Right.
And you get all measurements in all dimensions, which you have like 5 measurements of your feet, different.
Mm-hmm.
For later use.
That's important. That's a big deal. As I'm now getting old, I'm told I can't just wear my flat-footed sneakers anymore. So I have to actually get all the dimensions done on my feet now. That's important. So, and also when I think about this, is before, you would have these low-level ways of doing that for your eyeglasses, right? I would go to, but we didn't have those really catering to the footwear market. And during some of the off-hour cycles of the dev house, they put together this product, and you brought it over to WebSummit.
Correct.
And how did that go? Like, what sort of people were you showing it to?
Well, it was really fascinating because we submitted our application like almost till the deadline of submission. And I didn't expect any good placement during the conference. And we went specifically for, for the last day of the conference, when people are tired and bored and they skim through everything which is there. This year, there were something like 2,000 startups showcasing. Can you believe this?
Wow, 2,000.
2,000 startups, 70,000 visitors, 70,000 attendees.
Whoa, I've never been.
Yeah, it's worth it, but it's very exhausting. So, like 4 days on the feet, etc., and every day worth a show. So we were showcasing our startup in the booth at the last day of the conference. One of the farthest pavilions, like the 4 pavilion, and I was like, okay. I was quite skeptical. The glasses have empty, etc. And to my deepest surprise, everything went pretty interesting and pretty well, because number of people who are interested in this specific area, like e-commerce and shoemakers, footwear, it was amazing. Like our demo stand was almost like 70 or 80% time full. Like we were
Mm.
demoing, taking, showing how to use this, taking visitors 3D scans of the food, and etc. It was really, really amazing. So
And what,
Jay, our CEO, did done amazing job uh, onboarding people to this app, and it was so hilarious to look at his job there.
right, there
Team
was a
done
lot of
really well.
it's a lot of feet pics, a lot of feet video, a lot of feet touching in a conference.
Yeah,
I'm glad we are back out of COVID so we could go to conferences and touch each other's feet again, right? Like we could not do that virtually for a while. So we are back. The conference circuit is back. So when you talk about how many people are there, like sounds super busy, super loud, white noise, buzzy. What is I have a couple questions about that in terms of being at that conference, right? One is
okay.
when you're running around with this demo. Well, it's not a demo; it's a made product that we're looking to get partnerships with. That how do you find the people you're looking for? Like, what sort of when we're talking about like WebSummit, how many, let's say, e-commerce in the footwear industry? How do you find these people?
Good questions. Thanks for this. So specifically, this conference has its own app where all the communication is being done, and you
Mm-hmm.
can pre-select what you want to connect with people, and specifically with the day stands, like create your schedule, etc. So it's decent and usable, a bit lagging on the load, but it was this year it was really, really nice to use. So this is like how we connected with people who of interest and make a communication there.
Right. It's almost like I want to rent, but across if I want to make a shoe store in the conference with all these size shoes, and I want people to use the app, and then I say, "So you're a 7.5 wide," and prove it to them right on the spot. With that
Yeah,
their feet are better
not
now. Information, right?
not exactly by size, but fit size, but mostly by the the industries they are in and so on. So this is a little bit
Oh,
different.
I'm still learning about this stuff. I'm just a layman. I just buy shoes. I don't like figure them out. So what things did you see on the demo floor other than your own product, obviously, that you look? What other things did you see in the space that would be interesting for us to know about?
Well, there were a lot of interesting um, showcases, scenes, stages, and I tried to visit the most important from the AI standpoint, because this is
Yep.
like um, what we are looking into right now. Yeah, and uh, one of the interesting topic which really, the magic of conferences is that you go there and a lot of strange things happen. You reconnect with old people, old friends, the people you've seen on the somewhere, the product you like.
Mm-hmm.
You stay at the stage which you never intended to visit, stargazing, and you find a really exciting topic which you never have an idea that it will be available for you.
Right.
And this is going, 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 and going. And I'm like, okay, I don't have any bet how to like what my expectation should be in this time. Yeah, I'm just going there and go with the flow. And specifically for our conversation, what was really interesting is the question which I never thought about is the importance of decision making. especially when we uh, headed into the area when we use tremendous amount of data to support our decision making.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I purely by occasion visited the panel or stage held by Casey Kozyrkov. She was ex Google um, head of decision making department, some weird name in data analytics field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and she held pretty inspiring panel on how do we as human make our decisions,
Okay.
like what affects the quality of decisions, um, and what problems we gonna see, new kind of problems we're gonna see with all this burst of generative AI, big models, etc., etc. So, what are the new challenges we're gonna have with this? Pretty simple things which you never have thought about if um, you never it if it if you're not unfamiliar with this field.
Mm-hmm.
So the outcome of this stuff was really really interesting. Two key points: the most dangerous thing about AI is we human.
Right.
Why? Because the data sets, the knowledge, and this uh, uh, the entire knowledge base which is fed into this AI, like
Yes. Is negative based.
it's not negative based.
Okay.
It has a bias of people who preparing this data. Like a teacher has a bias
Sure.
teaching people, teaching
Sure.
children, and this bias then or this knowledge being scaled out in tremendous scale. You know, so people who created ChatGPT had their own like good and bad, what to include, what exclude in there, and that created the knowledge base, the basis for the ChatGPT uh, neural network. Yep. So
Absolutely. We were even talking about that last week,
yeah,
where
yeah,
it's, ChatGPT is dealing with the first 8 pages of Google on any given subject, and we already know that is a biased situation based on one, economics, right? Who pays to play to get it on there? Who's putting in the appropriate code into their website that will allow Google to trawl it? That's like there's so many of these signifiers that are allowing it to be in there and making things not be in there that gets this. That's the worry, right? It's not so the just like we talk about any tool. There's nothing inherently wrong with the gun. It's the person holding it, right, and the person who's choosing its actions, right?
exactly. But that about the user, but by applications of ChatGPT, and this idea was about the mechanics which is laid in the core of ChatGPT. Okay, so what it takes as a result, what it takes is that decision of very small group of people being scaled out at tremendous scale, at a world scale level. Okay,
Yep.
so the question which Cassie raised, like, was something like, do we have enough time to grow our curation and decision making skills as a humanity or not? And that was really interesting, like, because the real deal is how we're gonna make the decisions on petabyte scale. When we deal with petabyte scale data, how are we gonna
Okay.
make this decision right? And that was really interesting because I never thought about that in that context. Very simple, but very interesting.
What is a petabyte scaled decision? What would what is the type of, like, I understand it in a computational fashion, right? That you would use, just like how we, from, let's say, blockchain mining to just computational physics to, you know what I mean, that you take petabytes to figure out situations so it goes quicker. What does that mean though? What is a decision that you are thinking about that this is an issue for?
Well, decision at the petabyte scale is literally when something can control very large flows of the information. Like when you have great inbound flow of the info, something like terabyte per second, and you need to make this decision fast. Okay, how are you going to make this? This is the petabyte scale.
Mm-hmm.
Or even worse, if you're going to deal with all the informational flow of the entire world, it's something like a couple of exabyte per year was some couple of years ago. So I would say right now we're dealing with petabytes per second, this amount of traffic, and
That's
this
great.
is this crazy, yeah. And this is like how exactly we control all these things, how exactly we decide which is good or bad, where it should route this flow, where it should route that flow, what action should we take on this amount of information. Or for example, if we're gonna think about some large entities like digital twins for entire city, let's imagine we have the infrastructure uh, like to control all the traffic,
Mm-hmm.
water
That's
pumps, electric grid for New York, for example, and
mm-hmm.
agglomeration. Okay, how difficult going to be to create the proper decision making system to handle all critical situation there. This is the scale we're going to be dealing with soon.
Now I'm understanding. Right.
Okay.
Basically, armies of ants.
Yes, and how to validate, how to test, how to verify, how to understand that this is a proper reaction to some, um, mm, you know, unforeseen situation. Like, is this good or bad? And
Mm-hmm.
can we rely on this data? Can we rely on the training data? So that was it.
Interesting. So, what was their conclusion? What was the speaker's conclusion about all this? Like, what direction were they just kind of saying this is a problem we are going to face, but they didn't have a definitive answer to like because we may not be able to have that answer at the moment. You know what I mean?
Well, I think we should go back to Isaac Asimov three rules of robots and just stick with
Yes.
it.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So with seeing so many step on the demo floor, obviously AI was a big deal. But where in AI did you see like the top 2 or 3 verticals? Like, is it productivity? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, what were you seeing in terms of what people were demoing in terms of the various verticals that AI applications would rest in?
Well, good question. Thank you. Almost every startup has an AI in it right now. Point.
If they don't, they're just changing their .com to .ai anyway.
Anyway, correct. One really interesting application, which you know, I wouldn't say like, I rather it was a very creative way to apply generative AI. Guys created the virtual dressing room based on generative AI things. So you apply your new code to your photo, and it recreates that with this new code from the library. I was like, okay, that was cool.
That is cool. I'm looking forward to a lot of that stuff. I mean, there's so much low-hanging fruit happening out there in the space that like most of these businesses will not be around because they're more like a part of a suite of products that I would monthly pay for and not an actual product in and of itself, right? Like a lot of what people are doing is if I don't have the wherewithal to spend $20 to get a pro chat GPT account, then I'm going to be spending $50 for a subscription to someone doing it for me. You know what I mean? Like
Correct.
I will end up going to an AI productivity slash calendaring slash whatever calorie counting situation, right? You know, and content farming thing where you could easily get free services if you pay the $20 on ChatGPT through their marketplace of free, toolkits. But most people are just gonna whip up into some site that'll charge them 3 times as much. You know what I mean? Should be interesting.
Well, in this case, you don't use the ChatGPT service. You use pre-trained stable diffusion things, tuned, fine-tuned, and you actually
Yeah.
pay for the all the hard work engineers done to make this happen. This is a very different situation. If you need this virtual dressing room, it's one thing. If you don't need, you don't pay.
Right. Virtual dressing room. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. All right. Anything else you want to say about that conference?
Well,
Do you have a URL that people could see the shoe product? Do we have a page up for that we could share out? We'll put it up. We'll put up a page. If you hear this and you're really interested, reach out to us at Visible Magic.
it's gonna be below in description. It's gonna be below in description.
Oh, and below in the description. Thank you. Make sure you press like, subscribe. I watch YouTube. I know how to say all these things. Make sure you click like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm push our information to those who are looking for it, whether they know we're out there or not. See that? I see YouTube videos. I know how to say it. Visible Magic does not just develop products. We watch YouTube videos and know how to say our parts.
Correct.
We're heading on to like over 20 minutes. Is there any things you want to say before we cap up? We're heading into Thanksgiving here in America. Even though I'm not in America right now, I'm in Canada, but I'll be back in America for Thanksgiving.
Just one curious thing. Have you heard that ChatGPT released the marketplace for these helpers?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's like if people really wanted to dive into this stuff and not just get subscription services to other people doing low-level products, right?
Yeah.
Which is not what we're saying. We're not making these like low-level product. Our shoot things deals with 3D renderings. We deal in the 3D rendering world of there's more computations coming from us. Listen to me, I'm just so angry at the ChatGPT shysters out there. There's so many of them.
Yeah, and
if you just gave your $20 and got a pro account to ChatGPT, you could go into that marketplace. Exactly. It's really good. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that was that it's now possible to hack into the knowledge base behind those assistants, just asking them to print instructions.
You mean you could go into their thing and say, write out your rule set right here and just take it?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That is some alpha. That is some dang evil. Not evil. I mean, to know codes is like just like any social language coding. That's why GitHub is so big. Is that you copy, paste, and augment code, right? You don't start like at with a blank page all the time. And so that's the positive thing. But I'm going to start doing that when I find ones that I like a lot. I'm just going to ask them what exactly is your rules and have them type it out.
This is tremendous. Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of video, do we want to talk about these couple little things, links? Have you had a chance to look at them? We are going to eventually have like an AI roundup, right? So we can talk about, there's so many insanely interesting things coming out.
EMU editor from Facebook.
Exactly. So
it's amazing.
Yes. So Meta just came out with for content creation for Instagram and Facebook. They just came out with video and picture user basically user agents, right? That they're demoing. So basically, Instagram will only have AI pictures from now on, mostly, right? No one is going to actually take a picture anymore, right? That's basically what they're planning on. Is they're going to feed their algorithm so hard with user data by putting them onto their services in a way that no other data set on the internet will be, because there's so many people who will say, really, this is what they're putting it in Instagram and they're putting it in Facebook, these demos, right? And so when you open the mobile apps of each one, instead of uploading a picture, it will actually say, what do you want? It'll take the pictures you already have of you in your account and say, I want Shlomo on a Hawaiian beach today, even though I'm sitting in the dark rain somewhere, right? And then
Correct.
that's the picture that I will now upload today. And I will get all of the clout, all of the likes of showing me with this great chest, just like yoked, strong muscles, sitting on a beach with this fat, pudgy face of mine on it. I welcome this.
So we can say official, like semi-officially, that 2024 gonna be a year of massive hallucinations.
Period.
And this is what is called decision at petabyte scale.
Right, that is true. That is true. Now, thank you. That brought it around. Like, that is actually what they're doing. Of millions of users right now, all working in with that video AI generator on them, is actually the decision making we're talking about. You're absolutely right. It's not just it's one like real world civic applications like street lights and bridges, going up and down, and like commerce travel. And then there's also this sort of thing of consumer based content creation on such a mass scale that no one's ever done before. That is interesting.
Yep.
And with that, I think we got this week's podcast. That ended with something exciting. This was an interesting little talk. It started a little crazed, but it settled into something good. I'm really starting to enjoy having these with you, Vic.
Likewise.
I think of us as like the most unfunniest comedy duo ever. I'm not sure which one of us is the straight man and which one of us is not, but that'll be figured out as we go. Once again, we work with Visible Magic. We create applications and products in AI, Web3. What else we into today? We have
AR.
Exactly. AR is obviously a real big one that we talked about this week, where we even went to WebSummit and showed our product. If you're interested in looking at that, reach out to Visible Magic. We are right here for you. And this is episode 3 of Web Vision. Insane that we've now done 3 episodes and we're still friends. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week.
See you next week. Have a great weekend.